this is what I like to talk about as far as mental math goes. All right, I think this is a good example for me to show you exactly what I mean for there and what do I expect. All right, so again, because you're in Notability, all right, I think it's perfectly clear that everybody in here should be able to tell me what the answer is to number 16, just mental math. All right, correct answer is what?
13.
Not exactly. It's an equation, remember?
X equals 13.
Yeah, so we're just going to call it x equals 13. All right, so everybody can just write x equals 13. Now, if you, of course, have to put plus 9 and plus 9, do I really even care? No, but I just think you're good. You know how to work one-step equations. All right, if I'm not mistaken, that's what you guys did at the end of the year last year a little bit, right? Now, with number 17, all right, with number 17, a lot of people accidentally put minus 6 when they should do what? Plus 6, right? Because what we're doing is we're eliminating the minus 6. And how do I eliminate the minus 6? Add 6, right? So you should be comfortable to say that what? G is equal to what? Is everybody happy with that? -5. Now remember, it's your grade, so you got to speak up. If you're going, man, I thought it was -17 or something like that, you just got to tell me. Everybody good? Any questions? All right. Now, 18 was just kind of a quick review of fractions.
Why do you want to get rid of the -6?
Because remember, you're trying to isolate the variable. You're trying to get G by itself.
Oh,
Remember that now?
yeah.
So in order to get G by itself, I would just put a plus 6 and a plus 6. Right? All right, so how about fractions? All right? We should be able to say what?
I don't really understand fractions.
Well, we're gonna double check that this year. Or we're gonna make sure you're an expert at fractions. All right? So somebody tell me, how do I solve this equation though? What do I do? Yes, you do. There you do. Don't be afraid. All right? You're supposed to look at that and say, it's just an addition problem. How do I undo addition? Yeah, right? So we're subtracting. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. You know. Right? It's no different than the previous problems we just did. It just looks harder because there's fractions. Are we allowed to add and subtract the fractions in this case? Because they have a what? They have a common denominator already. All right? So I'm hoping everybody can just say, well, that's just W equals what? 2/9. Now, you should be able to say, okay, now I'm not sure where you got the 2/9 from. If you understand, then we're just moving on. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's that hard.
You just
Right? Yeah, just subtract 5/9. 7/9 minus 5/9 today is 2/9. All right, now we're going to work on our decimals. All right, we're going to review our decimals. So tell me,
It should be 2.1.
what is 2.1? M. That is correct. M equals 2.1. All right, now again, this is how I want it to be. Practicing mental math. Yes, sir. All right, so you tell me, how do I undo division? Yep, and so the answer is 60. What is 60 though? A, yes, because we're writing as an equation. A equals 60. I'm pretty happy with that. 5 times 12, that's it. Does anybody have any issues? Tell me the next one.
6, or y equals 6.
Y equals 6. I'm happy with that. Y equals 6. All right. Now the next one's kind of tricky because we have to remember, how do I undo a fraction?
No, I had a question.
Oh, tell me.
On number 20, so how do you get 60?
Okay, so what I want to do is I want you to tell me, what does this mean to you right there? What does that fraction bar mean?
Division?
So how do I undo division?
Multiplication? You multiply 12 times 5?
And got what?
60.
See? Now listen, this is something I'm trying to show you, and it's not, again, so listen carefully. My job this year is going to be for me to try to teach you to trust yourself. Right? We said the answer was 60, and the only two numbers you see are what?
5 and 12.
So the only way to make 60 with 5 and 12 is to do what?
Multiply.
So your job is to say, even if I'm not 100% sure, I know that he did what? He multiplied. So are you with me? So on this part right here, this is division. To undo division, we just do what? Multiply. Good with that? All right. Anybody else have a question on that? All right, so let's take a look now at the reciprocal. Tell me.
The answer?
What do I do? How do I solve a fraction again? What would I multiply both sides by?
I just did it. I did it again.
Tell me what the answer is.
1. B equals 1, I think.
So 1 times 2/5 is -4. What was it?
B equals negative.
B equals -20. So 2 times 20 divided by 5. 10. Positive or negative?
Negative.
All right, now let's take a look at it one more time. So how do I undo a fraction? We say we multiply by the... Now I'm putting 5 over 2 right next to it so you can see something. What happens to the two 2's with our fractions? Some of you guys who said you weren't sure with fractions, this is where I'm really helping you out. All right, if you're not very good at fractions, now's the time to listen. All right, what happens to this 2 and this 2 right here?
Cancel out.
They cancel, right? And what happens now with this 5 and this 5?
Cancel out.
They cancel. All right, they cancel. So if I multiplied one side by 5 halves, I've got to multiply the other side by 5 halves. So now we're going to review what you do with these fractions. All right. Now 4 is the same as 4 over what? 1. Now when you're multiplying fractions, we can cross what?
Cancel.
Yeah, we can cross cancel. All right. So you're going to say, is there anything that can be reduced with the 5 and the 1?
No.
But what about the 4 and the 2?
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 goes into 2 how many times?
1.
And 2 goes into 4 twice. So B is equal to what?
10.
Nope.
Right.
Negative what?
Negative 2.
Negative 10. Because essentially what we're doing now is we're multiplying -2 times +5, which is the -10. Yes.
So I get how you do like the second part of the problem, but how did you get 5 over 2 over there?
Because I looked at this number right here. I looked at this.
So you just
What's the reciprocal of that?
5 over 2.
That's why I did 5 over 2 on the other side. Does that make sense now? Whenever you see a fraction, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. Good question. Next, go.
If you multiply 5 over 2 on one side, and you on the other side.
That's exactly what we're doing in math. 100%. That's how you solve the equation working backwards. All right? Now, again, we're just going to talk about this, though, just to make sure, because some of you told me you weren't very good at fractions. -4 times 5 halves. Does everybody see we can just go 4 times 5 and get what? 20, and then 20 divided by 2. Same answer. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes, in my opinion, it's easier to do the division first. 4 divided by 2 is what? 2 times 5. Same answer. Do you agree? Because keep in mind now, we're multiplying and we're what? And we're dividing. Right? So as long as you do both operations, you're going to end up with the same answer. Everybody good with this? All right. So now 23. What operation do we have on 23? Yes. Division. So how do I undo division? That's exactly right. So I'm going to put multiply by -16. We're going to multiply by -16. Now, of course, that's pretty good mental math because two negatives make a what? So we should be able to say t is equal to, now what's 16 divided by 8? 2 times 7. 14. You see why it's easier to do the division first, right? Because I would not want to do 7 times 16, which is 112, and then 112 divided by 8, which is 14. It's much easier to do the what? 16 divided by 8, and then multiply that by 7. Right? Same answer. Doesn't matter.
I
Hold on one second.
All I did was I saw that 8 times 2 equals 16, so I just did 17 times 2.
There you go. That's another way to do it, right? Kind of like what we did in proportions last year.
That's fine.
Yep, that's good. That's a great way of doing it.
Would that be negative 14?
Well, if it were negative 14, that would make me what? That would make me wrong, right? You agree with me? Instead, there's a sign up there for a reason. See where it says Mr. Right? So if I write it, it's probably what?
Right.
There you
That's
go.
right.
How's that? All right. So you agree with that? You will notice I don't ever make any mistakes with math, that is. Well, you'll find out later. All right, here we go. So let's look at number 24. Oh, by the way, are you okay with that being 14? You understand? All right, so let's go to number 24. This is the one that's kind of important. Max is 4 years younger than his sister Brenda. So look, we're going to interpret that right the way it is. So I want everybody to pay attention. Max, why did I use M? Yeah, because it's max. What does is mean? Equals. Here we go. Max is 4 years younger than his sister Brenda. So I can write what?
B minus 4.
Go.
M equals M minus 4.
Not M, but B. The reason why we're saying B is because who is he referring to? Brenda. You see what I mean? I want everybody to write M equals B minus 4. You have to know that. Max is 4 years younger than Brenda. That's what that means. You should just write that down. Now, in the next sentence, it tells us that what? Max is 16. So wherever I see an M, I can put what?
16.
So there you have it. So 16 is equal to B minus 4. So now you can tell me how old Brenda is.
20.
Brenda is 20. So B is equal to 20. That's what I want you to be able to do, guys. That's what I want you to be able to do when you see a word problem. You translate from the word problem into an equation, and then you solve the equation. Is everybody okay with that? Yes, sir.
Why would we do n minus 4?
That's a pretty good question. M minus 4. That means Max is 4 years younger, right? So, no, I'm sorry. That doesn't mean Max. That means Brenda is 4 years younger. All right, let me show you why. Look right here. So, and I think that's a very good question, by the way. So I want to show you how you can figure this out. All right. So I have M and I have B. Let's just say Brenda is 4. Then Max would be what? You tell me. 0. If Brenda is 10, Max would be what?
6.
Let's just get wild and crazy. Let's say Brenda is 30. Max would be what?
26.
So the question is, what are you doing? You're subtracting 4 from who? Brenda's age, right? And listen, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. That's why sometimes I think it's important to just make up a number to see which one you would be subtracting. You agree with me? Instead of writing M equals B minus 4, B is also what? What could B be? Come on now, some of you guys not listening. What?
M plus 4.
You are awesome. That is exactly right. Thank you for listening. Brenda is what? 4 years older than what? Max. Everybody good with that? Yes.
You either write the top one or the bottom one.
Actually, you could either write the top one or the bottom one. That's brilliant. All right? Now, the important stuff for today, super, super important. It's supposed to be a little bit harder. All right? Now, notice I left some space to the right. I think I like doing that. Because what I want you to do just to the right. Show me your work now. This is not mental math. All right? This is not mental math. So let's look at 25. So here we go. I want everybody to write 25. And then I want you to write down 2d minus 4 equals 8. Now I know most of you just look at that and say, well, that's obviously 6, right? I don't need to do any work on that, right? You should be able to just look at that and say 6. Right? But you're still going to show a little bit of work because I'm training your brain to go backwards. All right? So the first thing we have to do is do what to both sides? Tell me.
Add 4.
You're going to add 4. All right? And when I add 4, I get 2D equals what? 2D equals 12. That's what you have to write. And then underneath that, you have to write what? So D equals 6. So D equals 6. Everybody go with that? Yes, sir.
So once you isolate the variable, then you just do what the variable is like if you're multiplying and you divide. You wouldn't
Undo it. That's correct. So I want you to say this. Right here, I what? Am subtracting. How do I undo subtraction? How do I undo multiplication? That's what we're doing. So we're kind of doing PEMDAS backwards. Is what we're doing. Yes.
How do you know when it's a problem that you like undo it?
Well, when it's an equation.
Okay.
Anytime you have an equation. All right? Right, with the variable. All right, now look how I'm going to write 26. Everybody watch. 26. 3t plus 6 equals -9. I like to write it that way. I don't want it written backwards. Does everybody see that? All right. Now, what do I need to do? Tell me.
subtract 6.
Good girls. Thank you. Sorry. Subtract 6. Now, I don't want you writing subtract 6. I just want you to tell me 3t equals what? -15. Now, remember, guys, 3t equals -15, right? And so t equals what?
-5.
T equals -5. Everybody good? Yeah, easy. Any questions? Now, remember, your job right now is to speak up. Yes, ma'am.
If you were subtracting 6, how did you get
Right? You owe your mom 9, you owe your dad 6, you owe all together 15. I always think in terms of money when I'm doing adding and subtracting. All right? Let's check out 27. Now watch how I'm going to write 27. You see if you can write it this way. That's how I like to write it. So everybody, what do I have to do first? Say it.
+8?
Add 8. Everybody's adding 8. If I add 8, I get -2k equals what? 22. So k equals, be careful.
-11.
Yeah, k equals -11. Now remember, as soon as you're getting, you get stuck, you're supposed to tell me. So we agree k equals -11, right? All right. Let's check out 28 now. N over 4 minus 7 equals -2. All right, everybody, tell me. What do I do? Together, what do we do?
+7.
Add 7, right? When I add 7, be careful. N over 4 equals 5. So N equals 20. Is everybody feeling good about the one-step or two-step equations? So N equals 20. Now again, don't be afraid. Speak up. Yes, ma'am.
I don't really get how we got 20.
Well, what number divided by 4 is 5? See what I'm saying? Now, instead of having to think through the numbers, we're just working backwards. So in order to solve a division problem, we just multiply the two numbers together. That's what I mean by working backwards. All right?
So you added 7.
Yes, I did. Added 7. You agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now again, this is why I like Notability, because I like to draw things around it here. I like to shrink it down. Now I also like to tell kids, look, I'm not the neatest writer in the world, but I'm pretty much block letters, one right under another, so you can obviously tell what it is. All right, that's what I'm expecting from you guys. All right, not stuff written everywhere so I can't see it. All right, in control. All right, here we go. So we're on what now?
29.
All right, so let's take a look at 29. R plus 4 all over 3 equals 7. Now this is a rare, an exception to the rule. There's an exception to this rule. What do you think I have to do? Can anybody tell me? What should I do? Because this is kind of like this entire quantity is being divided by 3. So what do you think I do? Yeah, that's correct. But some of you will say, well, I thought you always said get rid of addition and subtraction first. Well, this is a what? Kind of like an exception. Because it's the whole r plus 4 that's being divided by 3. So what do? We put a times 3 and a times 3. Now, do you really have to do that? No, because I'm expecting you to understand that that's just what? R plus 4 equals what? 21. So r is equal to, help me?
17.
R is equal to 17. How's that, guys? Speak up now. Remember, like I said, don't be afraid to ask a question. Go ahead, speak up.
So you only divided the 3R, you divided 3R.
Yeah, because look what happens. This right here, I'm going to move this out of the way so I can show you better. This right here, I'm kind of multiplying. And when I multiply that by 3, the times 3 and the divided by 3 do what?
Cancel out.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The times 3 and the divided by 3 cancel.
okay.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's what I want. Speak up if you don't know. Good for you.
How did you get 17?
Okay, so how do I undo plus 4?
You subtract it.
There you go. And 21 minus 4, 17.
Thank you.
All right, here we go, guys. Let's take a look at 30. I'm listening.
So if there's two numbers above the line,
Yep,
you would multiply.
yep, of course. And I'm going to see if I taught you something because I want everybody right now to do 30 on your own. And then I'm going to put the answer up on the board. And then you can say, well, yeah, I'm listening and I know what he's talking about. If you get it wrong, you got to pay attention. All right? If you're not sure how to do it, you should look at 29. Now look how I wrote it first. So what's the first thing I have to do? Come on.
Times 2.
Multiply by 2. Thank you. Multiply both sides by 2. When I multiply both sides by 2, I get 9 minus a equals negative 36. Now, am I going to add 9 or subtract 9?
Subtract.
Most people thought it was adding 9 because they saw this minus sign. Now, pay attention. What sign is in front of the 9? A plus sign. It's just not there. So how do I get rid of a plus 9? Say it. Subtract 9. So now, negative a is equal to negative 45. Try to stay with me. Negative 45. Is everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Now, the negative, I want you to remember is, the negative in front of the variable just means change the signs. Change all signs. So the negative a becomes a, and the negative 45 becomes a, right. So underneath that, you just write a equals 45.
Why did you change it to positive?
Because remember, that's what we're solving for. We want to isolate a. We want to make it positive a, not negative a. We're not allowed to have the negative in front.
Oh.
You with me? And that's just like negative 1. So technically, we just multiplied by negative 1 or divided by negative 1. All right? Good question. Quick.
Wouldn't you multiply the 9 by 2?
That would make me what?
Um,
That'd make me wrong. Right? So would we probably do that?
No.
No, we probably wouldn't do that. If I didn't do it, it's probably not correct.
You're just not allowed
That's
to have
right.
a negative variable.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
Exactly
It
correct.
has to be positive.
It has to be positive. All right. Now let's go back to your question. I was kind of teasing you, but listen. Why don't I multiply the 2 by 9? Because what happens to this 2 right here and this 2 right here?
Oh, they cancel.
That's why you don't multiply by 2. The times 2 and the divided by 2 cancel each other out. Yes, sir.
So what if you had a negative a but a positive 45?
Then it would be negative 45.
Okay.
Because the negative means change the signs. All right? So let's take a look now at 31. All right, let's see how good we're doing with 31. Are you telling me the bell's going to ring? Is that what some of you... How much time do we have? 4 minutes? All right. So 31. 6g minus 3.5 equals 8.5. Now, this is what I'm talking about. The mental math should be pretty good here. You shouldn't be worried about 8.5 plus 3.5, right?
Yes.
8.5 and 3.5 today is what?
Oh.
Wow, I'm sorry I said we shouldn't be worried. All right?
12.
12. Are we right? 12? Some of you thought it was 13. You got to be careful. 6g equals, tell me again?
12.
12. So now I know what? G equals 2. Is that right, Mr. Stauffer?
Yes, I saw something.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Question: is finishing this going to be homework?
Here's what your homework is. All right, your homework. I want you to try 37 through 44 and finish up. We started at 31. So I really want you to try to finish 32 through 44. All right, so you got 12 problems. And don't panic, because what am I going to do tomorrow? I'm going over. I'm going to put it up on the board for you to make sure you're good. That's why it's important to make sure you try it on your own. See if I taught you something. All right, if you're having trouble, it's okay. Come in the morning and see me. All right? Get a couple more problems done when I close down. And then you guys are heading to what is next?
Lunch.
Oh, lunchtime. That's why you're...